a daily follow limit now too, and I can't follow anybody.
Yeah.
I'm like, that's got to be a mistake. I haven't followed anybody in the last couple of days.
Well, that's fucked up.
Well, they were joking that the programmers were at Capitol Hill today getting grilled by the Republicans. So now all of a sudden Twitter's not working.
Wait. Was Elon there? Is there video of Elon there?
No, not Elon. Because this is, the Republicans are apparently Twitter was out to destroy Trump because that's why he lost the presidency.
Yeah, and I thought that's why. I thought
checks out.
That's why Elon took over, though.
But I mean, every social media agency should have been fucking fighting against Trump. But that's another story for another day.
But Geoff, I do like your new backup there. Your background there. It's no longer the NFL Network studio. It's now looks like you're in a
studio.
Yes.
So the funny thing is, we use Restream. So I have a different background from when you use Restream. But when I do this, I pick a different background because I have to go through Chrome. I usually use Safari for Restream, so here I use Chrome. In the 2 weeks of the playoffs, I was going on a show, The Fancy Ladder, and doing like a 49er sort of, promotion for the game, and that was my locked-in background. The funny thing is I didn't want to wear my SF hat because I know Shane is an Eagles fan. So I was like, I'm not going to wear it. So I don't want him to talk shit. But then, of course, I get on here, my freaking background in San Francisco.
I would definitely not talk shit. I mean, what is there to say? It wasn't even a contest. It wasn't even a game.
Yeah, it was almost comical at one point.
Yeah, I know Brandon Ayuk. Although the whining,
Brandon Ayuk tweet was funny.
Whining coming out of San Francisco. Good Jesus Lord!
I was not one of those.
Shut the fuck up, you fucking crybabies! Look, if the Eagles go out there and get smacked around by Patrick Mahomes, as an Eagles fan, I'm not going to make excuses for him and be like, "Oh, well, it's because blah 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 blah."
Yeah, I don't know. It's definitely a problem with us because we've had that built-in excuse of injuries for the last couple of years. Last year it was our running backs, and the year before that it was our entire team, like basically all injured. So they've gotten used to the injury excuse.
I mean, it sucks. Look, I don't think they win with Brock Purdy. I don't think it matters. It's obviously a closer contest with Jimmy Garoppolo.
Yeah,
who fucking knows?
Just a quarterback, period.
Yeah.
I think would have
been. And who knows what Trey Lance, what that team looks like?
I got a question for you guys. So in 3 years from now, which team is worse, the 49ers or the Rams? Because it feels like both completely sold out their entire roster.
49ers haven't though.
No, I know.
It feels like we have, but we haven't. We have because we just lost a bunch of coaches. We get all competition picks for all those. I think 3 second-round picks.
Yeah, but they gave away
third rounders.
They gave away second-round picks for Christian McCaffrey.
Okay, so
it's not like they give up first.
Yeah, and that's what San Francisco does is besides the fact that they just hire whoever the best man happens to be, and it happened to be minorities, they keep losing them and getting comp picks for them. It's like a farm system.
It's what the Patriots do.
Rob.
Yep.
The Patriots hire minorities? When?
No. I was just talking about like how they draft players and then they just acquire these comp picks.
That's completely different. San Francisco tries to celebrate diversity, whereas Bill Belichick celebrates fucking dipshits. Like if you got comp picks for hiring imbeciles like Matt Patricia and Joe Judge, dude would get a ton of comp picks.
It's been a while since we've seen Jamie in the chat, but he's got the perfect quote right here. Guarantee the Browns are worse than both San Francisco and LA. Y'all ready to kick this thing off tonight?
Let's do it.
Oh man. Oh.
No.
This is Fantasy Intervention. Now here to intervene with your fantasy life, Shane Manila, Jacob Sanderson, and Chase Vernon.
What is going on? What is going on? What is going on? Welcome into Fantasy Intervention. I am your co-host, Fantasy J on Twitter. We have our man, FF_intervention, Chase Vernon. How are you tonight, sir?
Dude, I'm doing very well. I'm actually very excited to talk some of these prop bets tonight and some of the quarterback landing spots. I think that both have a ton of relevance in the fantasy world. And with it being the last week of the fantasy season before Dynasty completely takes over and engulfs us in everything Dynasty, you know, it's going to be fun to go out talking on this Super Bowl and what prop bets we actually want to place.
Yeah, I can't wait for the next couple of weeks. It's going to get real deep into the Dynasty side of things. We've already been into it for a minute, but we're going to get even deeper here shortly. And that is because Shane is the worst over there on Twitter. Loves him some Dynasty. We didn't get no life lessons tonight, but that's all right. We have 55 minutes or so roughly to get more life lessons from Shane. Shane, how are you doing this evening?
Yeah, I've got no life lessons, none at all. But Dynasty should have already fully engulfed every aspect of fantasy football because Dynasty is for people that like strategy. It's like this. So fantasy football is checkers and Dynasty football is three-dimensional chess.
Wait, you do realize like that prop bets and DFS and everything like that
that's not fantasy football. That's something different. That's betting.
No, DFS is fantasy football. It's daily fantasy sports.
It's different. It's very different.
It's not.
It's different.
It's still fantasy.
It's let's do it like this. You're right. Let's go. And our special guest tonight from goingfor2.com at Geoff Lambert 77 on Twitter. How are you tonight, sir?
I'm good, man. I'm good. It feels a little weird, you know, being live on a Wednesday night and not be doing my show. So, but thanks for having me on.
Yeah, you got to sit back and actually wait for you to be prompted to talk instead of being the one prompting somebody to talk, right?
Exactly. And I don't have all this stuff going on. I don't have my soundboard. I don't need any of this crap. All I need is the screen.
Yeah, all you need is a screen and a mic. There you go. I love it. Well, guys, we're gonna get into some of the prop bets in the bowl or in the Super Bowl game. Talk a little bit of trivia. We're gonna talk QBs that could make a move and impact your 2023 fantasy team. You guys ready to kick that off?
Let's go.
All right, so we got the Eagles favorite by 1.5 over the Chiefs. Over under right now is 50.5 or 51, depending on what site you're looking at. When I originally asked for Geoff to come on, I believe it looked like it was going to be an NFC title game of San Francisco and the Eagles, and I was looking at it going, okay, this could be really fun. But I was really thinking it was going to be more fun because Geoff was going to be the one to be able to talk shit to Shane. Because Shane, you know, your Eagles now, are you nervous at all with a 1.5 point favorite?
Well, no, because here's the thing, right? So if the Eagles win the Super Bowl, my dick doesn't get any bigger. I don't get a paycheck. I get a Thursday off for the parade. Now, if they lose the Super Bowl, dick still stays the same size. Still don't get a paycheck from them, and I can just call out Thursday and Saturday. So it's just, to be honest with you, I love football. It's not going to affect me in one way whatsoever the very next morning. But that said, 1.5 points. I mean, that sounds about right because you look at these teams, and obviously both teams are playing the best teams they've played all year. And the Eagles, you know, if I'm being honest, they haven't played someone of the caliber of the Chiefs yet. Not at fully loaded. At full capacity. It's Mahomes in a Super Bowl. I mean, it's going to be tough to beat. So 1.5 feels like the bettors are just like, I don't know. So let's go the Eagles so we can get some money on maybe the Chiefs, I guess. I don't know.
Right on. What are your feelings on this game to start off with it being 1.5 and a 50.5 spread or over under there, Geoff?
So I think the over-under is a little low. I think it will be a more high-scoring game than the 51. And I think by the time we get there, it may actually raise a few points before we get there. But 1.5 points for the Eagles. I mean, really, you can go either way with these two teams. They're both the best of the best right now. It's, you know, I think one of the few times in the past couple of years that we've had the two number one seeds basically, you know, roll through the playoffs and meet in the Super Bowl. So It feels right. It looks like a good game. It should be an offensive game. I love both teams. Even though that the Eagles put my team out, I am rooting for the Eagles to win it all. And I think it's kind of funny how these two teams have come about. I mean, the Chiefs basically gave away a bunch of their pieces this past offseason, and then they're right back here in the Super Bowl. And the Eagles, won it a couple of years ago and basically have rebuilt almost completely from what they were before. I think there's 4 or 5 players that are left over from that Super Bowl. And they rebuilt through the draft. I mean, you look at their starters, they have one player, I think, that wasn't drafted by the Eagles. It was A.J. Brown, who they traded for last year. So, and then the Chiefs, you look at them, and they're basically a whole, hodgepodge of different players from all over the place. So I think it's going to be a very good game, and I'm looking forward to it.
Yeah, 2 quick things that you just said there. That the last time that 2 number 1 seeds met in the Super Bowl was 2017, 2018, where it was the Eagles and the Patriots, if I'm not mistaken. Yep. And then the other thing that you had said was about I just lost it.
Building through the draft, maybe?
Yeah, building through the draft was the turnover for the Chiefs. They basically turned over 41% of the roster this year, which is quite astonishing when you think about it. So, Chase, what are your thoughts when I first tell you it's a 1.5 point favorite, 50.5 point spread?
Yeah, I think that everybody's going to be betting this one up. It should end up right around 53 or so by the time the odds actually set in and the game's about to play. It could even hit 53.5, I think. But it's going to be interesting to see exactly what happens in this game, because I think that Jones plays a tremendous role over there for the Chiefs. If he's able to get to Hurts, I think that there is a chance this actually hits the under. I really do. I mean, the Eagles defense is dominant. I'm talking about by the time it actually hits the point. I think that the 50 points is actually pretty accurate in terms of the over under. And if it does get bet up to 53.5, I'm going to take the under just because
you have to hammer the under.
Could ensue. I see it getting kind of messy, and I see the Eagles also utilizing the run game a lot to keep the ball out of Patrick Mahomes' hands, which is going to end up burning a lot of the clock. So we'll see what happens. I'm excited for the Super Bowl. I think this is the most excited I've been for a Super Bowl in quite a few years, to be honest with you.
Dude, it has a feel one of those games, right? Like it could be 20-13 or 40-35.
Yeah,
it's gonna it could easily get out of hand, or these defenses could just say no. Especially on the Eagles side. I know Patrick Mahomes is basically Jesus, but that Eagle defense, it's tough when you've got pressure on you literally every drop plays.
Yep.
Yeah, I think right now at the 50.5, 51, I think that number is right about right. But like you said, Chase, I think once it gets to game time at 6:30 on Sunday, that number is going to be probably somewhere in that 52.5, 53.5 range. And at that point, you almost have to hammer the under there because all the money's been going to the over. And
keep in mind, like Jalen Hurts looked like garbage last week up against the 49ers. I know the 49ers have a good defense, but their secondary has been somewhat porous. And to sit there and say oh man, Jalen Hurts is going to be able to keep up with Patrick Mahomes, I don't know.
Jalen Hurts just had 2 weeks off. His shoulder's still healing. And here's the scary thing. The Eagles just dropped 70 points on 2 teams with Jalen Hurts throwing. I believe the number I saw was 15 pass attempts after the first quarter.
I don't disagree with that.
If he's moving a little bit, it'll get out of hand. We need one of those. We do need one of those. I miss an old 55-10 Washington racial slurs beat down of the Denver Broncos. That's what I want. I want the Eagles just to beat down the stupid Kansas City Chiefs.
I'm just worried if the Eagles get behind, I don't know that they're going to be able to keep up. That's one of my biggest concerns is that if the Eagles get down and Jalen Hurts is forced to throw the ball, we'll see if he's able to do so.
Am I the only one that sees everybody frozen? Can y'all hear me?
No, I can see you are frozen.
We can hear you. You are frozen though. But yeah, we can hear you.
That's weird.
All right, so we're gonna go ahead, Jeff.
Break it up a little bit. You might need to leave and come back. Go ahead.
I'm gonna remove him.
All the intranets today. Apparently, YouTube's down, Instagram's down, Twitter's got some issues, and I'm guessing Facebook because it's the oldest of all of them.
Well, yeah, Facebook is actually working. I mean, Facebook, at least Facebook users able to comment, so that's good. That's good.
Yes, I'm wearing gray pants, Facebook user.
So Shane, real quick,
the comment by Jamie, real quick. He wants to see you climb a greased up plate.
I can't climb an ungreased pole. Lord. Well, best thing about the well, maybe not the best thing, but one of the funniest things from the last parade is when people were climbing up poles and then the people on the ground were tossing beers at them. Not like, oh, hey, here's a beer, good job. Like, hey, let's see if we can knock that dude the fuck off the pole.
And they're all just celebrating the same thing.
Yes.
Well, real quick, I not pertaining to the Super Bowl, but it seems like the Packers are ready to move on from Aaron Rodgers. And if that's the case, real life football question here. Is Aaron Rodgers worth, because what it sounds like that the Packers are going to ask from, at least from the Raiders, is 2 firsts and a second. Is Aaron Rodgers worth 2 firsts in real life NFL? When you think about it,
No.
He's a 39-year-old quarterback. I can't remember what Brett Favre was when he went to the Jets, but I mean, he went for a 2 fourths, if I'm not mistaken, maybe 1 fourth. But it's a $60 million cap hit. He's only getting paid 53 next year, but it's a $60 million cap hit. As a GM or as an ownership group or even as a fan base, are you wanting to give up 2 first-round picks for
that
Aaron Rodgers?
That whole thing, like, if he goes to you said the Raiders, right? Like,
yeah, that was just the one that they threw up. So it'd be like, and here's the funny part is it was one of the picks is a top 10 pick.
Him and Josh McDaniels would end up having a dick measuring contest that would end up in a nightmare of 2 tiny dicks. So honestly, like I would hate
Devontae Adams would win that battle.
Devontae Adams would stop his shit down and be done. But no, I mean, I hate that landing spot. And honestly, no, he's not, because we don't know if he's going to play, and he won't commit to playing in 2024. So to trade that for 1 year, that's an absolute nightmare. But we got to see what happens after he goes on this retreat or whatever they're talking about him going on.
To go get his ayahuasca.
I'll say this. I forget what we were talking about.
Aaron Rodgers going to the Aaron Rodgers worth the pick.
If I'm the Jets, I do it because I got a solid.
The Jets is fine,
and I have an offensive core. And I think if you're trading for Rodgers, I'm thinking you're getting some reassurances that he's going to play for at least 2 years. And for the chance to win a Super Bowl, I can see taking it. I'm the Raiders. You have no long-term plan. Like, your cap's a mess. You don't. That'd be a horrible move for them, but it's something I could see the Raiders doing.
It would be a it's been the NFC West that's done it, but it would be a West thing to do if I'm not mistaken. Go ahead and go all in right now for 1 year. If you can win it, great. Screw the next 5.
I love it for the Jets. Like Shane said, like, it's perfect. He can, be Zach Wilson's daddy for the next, couple weeks and get
Zach Wilson.
The next couple of years and get that kid in line. I love it for the Jets. The Raiders makes 0 sense to me. I would never, like, either way though. I still wouldn't do it for 2. I would never do it for 2 first rounds and a second round. First and second I could understand, but not 2 first and a second.
Yeah, the only way I think that works, giving up that much capital, is if basically Green Bay pays his salary. You know what I mean? That doesn't make sense to me. Geoff, any thoughts on 2 first-round picks for Aaron Rodgers?
It's definitely not worth it. And honestly, I don't think it's worth it for either team, but I do think the Jets have a better opportunity. I think they have, if he goes anywhere, the Jets is what makes the most sense. And like you, I feel like 2 firsts and a second is too much because of that cap hit, right? Whoever takes that cap hit is going to be huge. So it's almost like they give up a first by just getting that cap number off of their books. So 1 first and a second would probably be worth it. Kind of like we do in Dynasty. We balance it out with a pick. Instead of the pick, we'll just take that contract on and go from there. Right.
Yeah, I was going to bring up, when you said he could be Aaron Rodgers' daddy, I said I was going to say, Zach Wilson's daddy. I was going to say Zach Wilson doesn't like daddy; he likes MILF. So that's out of the question.
I don't know what Aaron Rodgers' mom looks like, but Jack Wilson could be Aaron Rodgers' stepdaddy. That's all.
Well, let's whoa.
I'm not saying maybe he's in the 7-year-old women. Who knows?
All right, let's get into some of this trivia that I got. I only got you like 4 questions, so I wanted to see how good you actually knew stuff. I didn't even put the questions in there until about an hour ago. So start off with question 1, and we're going to start this with our guest, Geoff. How many starting quarterbacks have won the Super Bowl on 2 different teams?
Is this in NFL history or is this current starting quarterbacks?
This is in history.
In history. Okay, so
of Super Bowl. So it's only 57 games that you got to think about.
Only 57.
yeah, 57 over what? How many years?
But I will tell you this: the answer, both answers are within the last 15, 20 years.
Why the fuck don't I know this?
Wait, did you say both answers?
Both, yeah. So there's two
which
quarterbacks.
Oh,
There's
which?
two.
I thought you want to know how many. So you want to know which quarterbacks?
Yeah,
Okay,
you said how many. You said how many.
Okay, that's
Peyton Manning is one.
exactly. I answered the
Tom
question
Brady.
for you. So okay, there you go. So I answered the question for you. My bad for screwing that up.
And he also gave us he gave us the year range,
Right.
the actual number.
Yes, I was so bad. That was
He
so
gave us
bad
your
on
answer.
mine.
He said how many? Both quarterbacks came within the
Jeez,
I'm gonna go with two. I'm gonna go with two.
Great answer. I'm good. Jeff. Ding, 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 ding. Okay, so we're gonna bypass that one there. Good Lord, I'll leave it alone now. Once I read the question, I'm just gonna shut up.
I would do that. Yeah.
All right, Shane. Shane, this one's for you. What was unusual about the coin flip before Super Bowl 44? The Saints won 31 to the Colts 17. This was in 2010.
What was unusual about the coin flip? I don't really remember anything, so I'll just make something up. It landed on its side.
Well, no.
Was that the one where the players said they called like the one side and it ended up being like the other side? But
that was
no,
that was a Super Bowl game.
Yeah,
it
that was a Pittsburgh Steelers playoff game, if I'm not mistaken, right? Yeah,
I think so.
Jeff, any clue?
So you say this was the Saints and the Colts?
This was the Saints and Colts in 2010, which would have been like the 2009 season playing in 2010.
Was this a celebrity flip?
No.
The NFL has not done that yet.
Well, there was a celebrity that flipped a coin in one game, and he ended up like not even flipping it; like it just landed.
Yeah, it just
flat,
went straight up and straight back down.
I'm going to say
but
the team that won the coin flip took the ball.
No, it was the coin flip was from outer space.
Oh, well, whatever. That's not cool.
What?
Coin
They
flip
flipped
was
it
from
from outer space and landed on the field?
Well, I mean, it
I
was.
think that would kill someone.
I'm
wouldn't it?
just kidding. I'm joking.
It was.
Is that
Chase-
how the dinosaurs were wiped out?
That's. And now you know the rest of the story. Chase, this one's for you. Who has the most rushing yards in a Super Bowl?
Oh, you saved it for me because I know.
Yes,
I know it's a Washington guy.
it is.
It's not Riggins because it was before Riggins. I think it was.
Before
Is it
Riggins.
Jimmy Smith or Timmy Smith?
Timmy Smith.
Timmy Smith.
Timmy Smith. That's
Timmy
right.
Smith,
Yeah.
204 yards in Super Bowl 22 versus the Broncos in 1988.
Was that 55-10? Was that the game?
No, the 55-10 was
that you were talking about earlier, Shane.
Man.
55-10. Wasn't that San Francisco,
Maybe it was San
Cincinnati, in Miami?
Something
I
like
believe
Or
that
Buffalo.
was.
Washington
Yeah, it might have
Buffalo
been.
was a big blowout too.
Yeah.
Denver used to get its doors blown off like every other Super Bowl, though. I know, I remember that.
Yeah, well, that was before Peyton came in there and Elway ended his career and all that kind of, where they won a bunch of them there with those two. All right, okay. I'm going to go back to Jeff on this and we'll go round robin. So Jeff will give me an answer and then we'll move on from there. How many Super Bowl starting quarterbacks played their high school football in the state of Texas?
How are we supposed to know that shit?
Including this year.
Well, there's one of them, at least one of them in this one.
Wait,
Damn.
Gator, how many did you say?
I said,
Yeah. Can you give me the answer?
yes. How many starting Super Bowl quarterbacks have there been? It's played their high school
thought he was
football in the
buying
state
that
of
one.
Texas,
I thought he
wait a
was
minute.
going for it.
I'm gonna just
including
throw-
this year.
I'm gonna throw
Yeah.
a number out. I'm going with 5. That's I
Okay.
mean, there's probably a lot more than that, but that's the number I'm going with.
All right. Shane?
No, it's actually more than that because now I'm thinking about it. 2 quarterbacks in this Super Bowl are actually from Texas. One of those, this will be his second Super Bowl. So that's 3 right there.
I'm not counting it if they've played multiple.
I am.
Oh.
You always count multiples, Jay.
Nope.
I don't know about you, but I count them. I write them on my board.
Yes.
And I'm very proud of it.
You have notches in your belt for
Yeah.
every multiple.
And then I
Just
text
asking
her
some sort of
like,
trick question
on the
like
anniversary of it.
associated.
I'm going to go with 8.
Okay.
I feel like this has to be associated with another part of the Super Bowl or the show. Like this has to be a trick question or something. But I'm going to go with 15.
Wow, Shane, you were too high, and that means Chase, you were definitely way too high. Jeff nailed it. 5.
Really?
Drew Brees in 2010. Nick Foles in 2018.
Big
this
dick,
is
Nick.
Yep.
Wait, this is in history.
In history. Patrick Mahomes in 2020, 2021, 2023. Matthew Stafford in 2022. And Jalen Hurts in 23. This is tying into the rest of the show being a Super Bowl, of course. The Eagles in 2017, when Nick Foles won the game, when the Eagles won the Super Bowl, the Eagles started 11-1 that year. They had an MVP quarterback that got hurt the same week that Jalen Hurts got hurt this year. Nick Foles won the Super Bowl. He played his high school ball in Texas. Jalen Hurts played his high school ball in Texas. We shall see.
Is this like that 38 LeBron James stat that I'm seeing everywhere now? Have y'all seen that stat?
No.
Like 38 weeks after Kareem Abdul-Jabbar broke the record, LeBron James was born. 38 years later, LeBron's breaking the record with 38,000 points. And God. It was like some other 38. Oh, he scored 38 points in the game.
So, look, this is my problem with the Illuminati and QAnon is that they leave too many obvious clues like this for us to follow. Right. You know what I mean? Make it a little hard. Clearly, this means LeBron James is a lizard person, and Kareem Abdul-Jabbar wasn't even part of our timeline. It's actually one of the Bernstein Bears, the Mandela effect. He actually never existed. It's crazy.
Oh, Lord.
It's Berenstein Bears, by the way, which is the craziest part.
I know. They were Jewish. No one knew it.
Jamie's got you a question there, Shane. What's your age range on Tinder?
I'll give you my real age range. I can't go above 47. And I have like a thought process behind that. It's like dynasty football, right? If I do get married again at some point, I can't be marrying some 50-year-old person. I just can't do it, right? But if I start dating someone, I'm going to need a little run up to get married to them again. So probably 2 to 3 years. So if they're 47 now, that's cutting it really close. Like they got to be the one, and I got to know quickly. So
they can't be a kicker in the NFL.
Yeah. Definitely not 47 and older is way too old. My age
mine's at 45 because I'm kind of hoping to find like a sugar mama at some point that's still like somewhat attractive for at least.
Well, you just kicked her out of your house. Anyway, so we're gonna move on to some of the prop bets.
I was going to bring up the breakup with next week.
Get out of here! Oh my God!
Oh, let's get some of these prop bets. All right, length of the national anthem. Chris Stapleton singing the national anthem. So it's 124.5 seconds, which is 2 minutes, 4.5 seconds long. Shane, you going to go over or under on this prop?
This is a country boy, right?
He is a country boy.
He's got an elongated twang.
It's not horribly elongated, but he probably will bring his own guitar, and it won't have the music in the background. So he'll probably play his own.
I'm going to go under. I'm looking for an understated country boy version of the song this year.
Where's he from?
The country.
He is from Tennessee. Chris Stapleton. He is from Oklahoma, if I'm not mistaken.
He's not from Texas. Okay, so it's not bigger.
No,
so
but in the history of country music singers that have sang the national anthem for the Super Bowl, they've usually sang it more traditional than
more straight.
Yeah.
So in all seriousness, like they've been talking a lot about I saw this thing about how with social media and attention spans and all that stuff, they've been trying to influence singers on big time events to actually go shorter on stuff like the national anthem, on stuff like songs in the halftime show. So the advice that I was looking at outside of like fantasy football advice, these are like actual technical bettors. Everybody's saying take the unders on a lot of these prop bets in terms of length of time for entertainment.
Yeah, I mean, I think we're going to see a lot. I think the NFL is getting to that point where it's like, okay, let's go get it down We got a game to play,
Yeah, you ain't no Whitney Houston, Chris Stapleton. You keep it short and brief, bitch.
Last year, the song was super short, but then they had this long ass intro from like The Rock, I think it was, or was that 2 years ago?
That was last year,
and it was horrible.
Yeah,
it made no sense. His shirt was weird. Just everything about it gives me just bad memories.
Yeah, the whole
the XFL or something, and like they were trying to hype up his appearance in front of football fans for the XFL for this year.
I think it was just because it was LA. They were just trying to build the Hollywood theme of everything. But yeah, it could have been.
I don't know.
Jeff, what do you got on the over under for the national anthem?
So when you asked the question, I was thinking under, and then y'all brought up this thing about the NFL wanting to shorten things, and I know how musical artists are. They want to just give a big FU to everything. you tell them that you be quick about it, they're going to take their sweet ass time doing it. So I'm taking the over now.
But it wasn't the NFL that was recommending that stuff. It was their social media managers. But either way, yeah, they would still give you a giant middle finger and tell you to fuck off.
Yeah. Well, and here's the thing is, any of these acts that come in there, they're not paying them. They're doing it on their own time. So, if you're going to drive across country, pull out all your equipment, you're going to take your time. It's my show for these 2.5 minutes is mine. So.
Talking about pulling out my equipment, Rihanna and the outfit. I want to talk about that one.
Yeah, we're getting there. We're going to get there. We're going to get there. Although now that you have an empty house, you can do that. Coin flip. Coin flip. Are we going heads or tails? Jeff, let's start with you.
Wasn't it Randy Moss that said you always bet on tails? I think it was in a game. He's like, you always pick tails. You always pick tails. So I'm going to go tails.
Tails never fails.
I think it was based on Madden. Like you always pick tails in Madden or something. And that's what he said to somebody that, picked heads at the coin toss. He always picked tails. So I'm picking tails.
Yeah, tails never fails. Shane, you saying?
Yeah, same thing, because I don't know a cool saying for heads.
Yeah, I couldn't find one. I tried to find one. I just couldn't find one. Chase, what do you got?
I just want to move on to the Rihanna question.
Okay. All right. Kidding. Rihanna's primary outfit color. Is it going to be black? Or are you taking the field?
I'm going the field. I'm feeling like there might be some light pink see-through sheen type stuff going on, which is what I'm hoping for. I'm hoping for some Rihanna nipples.
So you're staying home alone too. Okay, that's awesome.
I'll go to the bathroom for a minute. Whatever.
Hey Shane, you want to hang out that night?
Hey, Jason's got an empty room now.
He's stayed in there before.
With heartbreaks and tears.
I know Chase wants to go on about this, so I'm gonna let Jeff go ahead.
No, I really don't. Like I'm kidding. I have no interest in these questions. I want to get on to the actual football questions.
Oh, you want to do that? Okay. All right. Highest scoring.
I don't get to pick. I want to pick.
Oh wait, I'm sorry, my bad.
So this is what I'm going to go with, and I know nothing about Arizona, but I do listen to the footballers, and they talk about Arizona in that turquoise color that's everywhere. And it's in the logo and everything.
Oh, that's great.
I think she's going to come out with some kind of turquoise something, sort of as an ode to Arizona.
Oh, that's interesting. I like that. Yeah, and I would take the field too. By the way, I mean I'm not going to bet on that because I don't like I like betting on things that I can be educated about. Which, by the way, that's actually pretty good. So I might go place a bet now, Jeff. But yeah, I'm going to take the field.
Yeah, there was another one that I didn't put up here that I actually thought about putting on here, and the question was, what is the first song that she's going to sing? Is it going to be Umbrella? Is it, they had a list of like 5 or 6 songs.
I mean, it's the NFL, right? So they're probably going to want her to play her most commercial viable song. And I would assume that was Umbrella, wasn't it? It's probably not going to be Love the Way You Lie Part 2 with Eminem.
It's just going
to go check out the Eagles Instagram. And they had this thing where they're walking by the camera and it was like, name your favorite Rihanna song as they're walking by. And that's exactly all the songs that she's going to end up playing, by the end of it. Just go check out the Eagles Instagram.
Yeah, and there was another one is how many guests does she have on there? And is Eminem going to be there for the second year in a row?
I'm going to go with a hard no.
You don't think Eminem's coming back, huh?
No. Now, will Rocky ASAP be there, though? Or ASAP Rocky?
ASAP Rocky. Okay. That's what
Shane's looking for. Together? I know they made babies and stuff.
Hey, they might. It may not be published yet, though, Shane.
Oh, maybe they're dropping. You heard it here first. Rihanna, ASAP Rocky, collabo, and not the baby is going to be dropping at the Super Bowl.
Highest scoring quarter. Is it going to be the first, second, third, or fourth?
Fourth.
Fourth quarter is going to be the highest. Jeff?
I'm going to go third quarter. I think they go in to make a halftime adjustment and then come out, the two teams. And then by the fourth quarter, they're playing conservative to try to just win the game.
Did you ever see that interview with, or it wasn't even an interview, it was Peyton Manning and Eli Manning, and they were sitting there and they were talking on one of their Monday night shows. And I think somebody goes, oh, well, I guess they're going to make a halftime adjustment. And the other guy goes, wait, what the hell are you talking about? You know, that's the biggest myth. And he goes, yeah, it's the biggest crock of bullshit you've ever seen. You literally have, 12 or 15 minutes to go into a locker room. It takes 5 minutes to get in. You got to take a piss, 5 minutes to get out. Like, there's no time for even a speech unless the coach wants to give you high fives on the way out. They just literally go in there to take a break and then come back out. He's like, what do you do if you have a work break the last 12 minutes and it takes you 5 minutes to get to lunch and 5 minutes to get out? Like, you're not going to have time to sit down and eat. Like, it's the same thing with the actual game. Halftime adjustments are bullshit outside of maybe the offensive coordinators that are up in the booth that have time to sit there and talk about what they saw. But no, I mean, I actually think this is going to be a first quarter type shootout. I think we're going to see a lot of offensive firepower. I think we're going to see a lot of teams trying to get ahead. And I don't want to take a chance. If I'm going to bet on this high scoring quarter, I don't want to take a chance that we're going to see one team up by a touchdown or 2 touchdowns and try to run out the clock. And while it's being milked, less touchdowns are being scored. So I'm going to go with both teams come out firing to try to get ahead, so that they can end up running on the other team, because that's each team's ultimate weakness. And I'm going to go with the first quarter being the highest scoring quarter.
Yeah, so I read an article today by Liz Losa that came out this morning on ESPN, and it's called 5 Props That Pop. And one of them was more points in the second half than the first, going second half over the first half. So I like where you're at there, but I do think that the fourth quarter is going to be where I'm going to go. I think it's going to be conservative. I think they're going to play. The first half is going to be, back and forth, just trying to feel each other out. Third quarter, they come out, after the talk and they start doing something. And then the fourth quarter, it's just like, oh shit, we got to do something before somebody else does something else. Typically
the second and fourth quarters are traditionally the highest scoring quarters, just because of the 2-minute warning, right?
Yep.
Like if you have the ball with like 3 minutes left, you're going to try and make it in a 2-minute warning. You're going to pass a lot. You're going to try to get the first down. So first quarters typically don't score the most, but for this type of matchup, I think that we see that right off the bat.
I mean, and also don't forget, that's when those halftime adjustments really take hold.
Yep. The talk. First offensive play, is it going to be a run or a pass?
Run.
Shane? Or Chase?
Run.
I'm gonna go pass. I think. I mean, it's hard to say. If Eagles have the ball, I would say run. If Chiefs get the ball first, I would say pass. But since I can't pick the team, I'm just gonna say pass.
Yeah, I want to say pass, because it's these two teams I think are gonna battle in the passing game later in the game, but I think it's definitely a run. To be honest,
hates to run the ball. I think Shane knows that from the days of the Eagles too.
Yeah,
he just won't run it. So if he gets the ball first, he's passing on the first play.
Up until it's the playoffs, man, and then you start seeing guys like Darrell Williams, David Williams go off. Isaiah Pacheco is going to end up having a career game. This is going to be the Isaiah Pacheco breakout game of his career, where he has 180 yards and 6 touchdowns.
He's the next Timmy Smith. He's going to break the record tonight, or Super Bowl.
Yes, it's 206 and a half, something like that. All right, guys. Well, I'm going to read this ad real quick. Well, I'm just going to make it up as I go here. We are brought to you by our friends over there at Trophy Smack. Chase, will you grab that belt, that pretty little belt right there? They got a new belt coming out. Yes, it is.
Little belt.
That pretty little belt. They got a new belt coming out. If you have not seen it on Twitter there, it's going to be huge. It looks like a WWE championship belt. Diamonds. It's loaded. But the other thing they got going on over there is the wall smack, which is absolutely phenomenal stuff. The 3 different sizes. You can print your own pictures in it, and it sticks with magnets. So you can change it out when your mama comes over. You can get Granny with the middle finger off the wall and put up some lovely family photos. Or you can also, it's Valentine's, you can go get your wife. You can get her one with flowers on it, and you hand it to her, and then it's done. You don't ever have to buy her flowers again. They don't die, anything. You just stick them right to the, doesn't work that way. You oh, yeah.
So.
Just buy new
so
ones.
real quick, Jay, we do have the mappable moments over there at Trophy Smack right now, which is actually a map, and you just plug in, the address of like your first date, and it's like,
yeah, what if you're wrong?
The place we met.
See,
what if you put all the wrong shit on there? Where we met? Oh, the strip club. Do y'all remember? Oh wait, that wasn't you.
I actually had that as a suggestion during the meeting, and they didn't like that. So
you would have that as a suggestion.
Precious memories.
I love it. I absolutely love it. But no, it's great, man. It's different things for Valentine's Day that you can actually have. There's options to put whatever you want, customize whatever you want, and there's magnets that attach to the wall, so you don't damage your wall when you take them on and off. It's fucking sick. It's awesome. Yeah,
it's. Everything I've seen, I've got 2 on order, so we'll see how they actually they're going to go on the wall right back here. So we'll have those up hopefully within the next couple weeks. But while you're there at checkout, just put in the promo code ADVICE10 for a short period of time. You're going to get 10% off at checkout. Chase, did I miss anything on that? I know I made that. I made it all up. And
so the giant belt that's coming in, that's like.
Yes. Like you're only doing 40 of those?
There's only 40, and the drop happens on 220. We just didn't want to deal with a bunch of complaints of people saying, "Oh, we didn't know about it. Like you should have given us enough warning that it was going to drop." So we're already talking about it.
12 days.
It's already listed. It's already on the website, but it's not live until the 20th of February. I think we're doing a noon drop on Pacific time. So yeah, make sure you guys have that queued up and ready to go. The thing is limited edition. It's literally like it's huge. It's ginormous. It's awesome.
That is cool. Yeah, they looks like it's got diamonds all across the dang thing.
Yeah, it's faked out diamonds. It's pretty cool.
They're called cubic zirconias.
Yeah, I'll say this. So Valentine's Day is coming up. Don't get cubic zirconian for your significant other. That's
or a belt.
Unless it's in a belt.
A trophy belt. Well, get her a trophy belt, like world's best lay, something like that. I'm sure she'd appreciate.
Yeah, dude, best in bed.
Yeah, best head ever.
Best in bed for 2022.
That's not good. That's all right. I'm not getting that
for
one.
A while. Like, just give her 2019, skip 2020, and then 21. And she's like, wait, what?
Oh, that only works if it's the wife.
Well, I mean, you can give it to your mistress too. I mean, I think a girlfriend, your mistress, whatever the proper term is.
I would not give that to your mom.
No, I think your side chick would appreciate that much more than
your side chick,
because they generally have better sense of humor than your wife.
All right, couple more. Most passing yards. Is it going to be Mahomes or Hurts? Jeff, right, what do you got?
Real quick, before we dive into this, I'm sorry to cut you off. I'm sorry, Jeff. I'm gonna take the spotlight for a quick second.
Yeah, go ahead.
With bets, right? Like in these actual like numbered bets and prop bets as a whole, in terms of like actual statistics, taking over and under, setting up parlays, you typically want to look for stuff that's an outlier. So, Jeff, I'll ask you this: for like Devonta Smith to win MVP, right? What would he have to do? Like 100 yards and 2 touchdowns?
Probably at least. And even then, he probably got to do more than that because, I mean, then Hurts is having a good game too. So, but yeah, something like that would have to be, pretty spectacular to get the MVP.
Yeah, maybe
he would have to have he would have to have those stats and then a spectacular catch, whether they call it a catch or not, something along those lines at the very end of the game, or what I mean. Traditionally,
if a wide receiver ends up winning the MVP, it's 100 yards and 2 touchdowns historically. Yeah, it's right around that range. Some can put up 180 yards, some put up like 110 yards. It's not often they win. But when you end up looking up the MVP odds, right? Like, so Devonta Smith for MVP is plus 3,200. And actually, I'm stealing this from Josh Larkey. You can find it at J Larkey Tweets over there. Once you end up finding like that MVP line, it was plus 3,200 for him to win MVP. That's what he would have to do. But if you just take plus 100 yards and plus 2 touchdowns, and Philadelphia wins, because there's only been, I think, one player in NFL history that has won the MVP without being on the winning team.
Yep.
That actually goes up to 5,199 odds.
Yeah.
So essentially, like, you're giving like the same odds. I mean, you're getting the same pretty much statistical line, but you're getting plus 2,000 on the bet. So that ends up being, and I was placing some bets earlier. So that ends up being like a $10 bet, ends up being plus $520. If you did it with just the 3,200, you would end up getting like what, $350.
Yeah.
So
you're stacking your bets basically.
Yeah, and that's what he has to do in order to get there. So strategically finding ways to beat the inconsistencies set up by the NFL and also the inconsistencies set up by the bettors, because the whole reason why that line is decreased is because people are betting on Devonta Smith being the MVP. So that's going to bring the odds down. So you got to find ways that you think that he's going to end up being the MVP and set up those lines. But then you also want to hedge your bets to an extent. And some people don't hedge their bets. They just place money out. But I'm somebody that doesn't like to lose money. I want to make sure that I'm always upgrading my income from actual betting. So you have to figure out ways to do that. And if I was going to place, let's say $10 on those three things, Philadelphia Eagles winning, Devonta Smith getting 2 touchdowns, Devonta Smith being over 100 yards receiving, I also want to hedge my bet by placing $150 on Jalen Hurts to win the MVP, because now that winning is at for $150. I end up getting paid out $352. So net profit of $202 minus the $10 of the line with that I place on Devonta Smith. Then I want to hedge that bet, right? Because if the Chiefs win the Super Bowl, then it's most likely going to be a Chief that ends up winning the MVP award. So I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to place $175 on that, which the payout is $182. Overall, your cost is $330 to place all these bets across the board, right? And by the way, you can do this at any scale. If you want to place a $2 bet because you only want to do a $2 bet, then obviously you can decrease the amount that you're spending on the other games by 1/5 or by 4/5. I'm sorry. The payouts on that is $530, $352, and $357. Now, if Miles Sanders ends up winning MVP, then you're fucked, right? Like you'd have to end up increasing your amounts across the board. If AJ Brown wins MVP, then you're fucked. You're gonna have to end up increasing your spend across the board, and Dallas Goedert. But honestly, like I'd much rather go in trying to win the 530 and actually only winning 200 on that bet, instead of just going in and trying to win 530 on a bet that's probably not going to end up hitting. So essentially, when I'm placing parlays and I'm trying to end up coming up with bets that make sense, I know it's not as big of a increase in overall money that you're going to make. But this past year, I won $5,600 on just doing prop bets, because each week I'm making just a little bit more and a little bit more.
Little increases, yeah.
Yep.
And hedging your bets is a very smart way to actually bet. The only thing that can end up fucking you over on this, which by the way, I've had down weeks. I had 4 down weeks in 2022, where I didn't win any money at all. But as long as you typically have a general football knowledge and you're able to hedge your bets, you're going to end up coming out on top each week.
No, I appreciate that explanation there, Chase.
The MVP?
Well, that is the question, or that's the next question. I was asking who's going to have more passing yards.
Oh, I'm sorry.
Is it going to be Mahomes or Hurts?
Mahomes.
Yeah, it's Mahomes for me too. I think Hurts might have more total yards, passing yards, as Mahomes.
Yeah. So yeah, I think that Mahomes ends up being the guy that does it. But once again, I'm going to parlay that. So I'm not going to take that bet straight up.
All right, and then I will just, who wins your MVP as it sits right now? Let's go with you, Geoff.
So I am rooting for the Eagles, and I think the Eagles are going to win. So it's typically quarterback. So I'll go Jalen Hurts.
Yep, Jalen Hurts, and I'll take that bet straight up. I don't have to parlay that one.
Yeah, I think the only way the Eagles win, and it's not Jalen Hurts, is if Mahomes throws for 2 picks and the same defender gets both of those picks.
Darius Slay, a DB as the MVP. Man, they want to give it to a quarterback.
Well, if you remember back in, what is it? I want to say 2002, I think it was, when Tampa played the Raiders, and it was a DB Johnson. 2 picks. No, Tampa. It was oh shoot, I can't remember. I can see him, number 30 right now.
No,
was it Barber?
It was it? No, it was a freaking safety. His Barber was still playing corner. I can't even remember his name right now, but
Sorry, I was thinking of Kadarius Toney bets. What was the question?
Definitely wasn't Kadarius Toney.
No, it wasn't Toney.
No, I'm asking what his question was.
Yeah. I mean, generally, it's going to be the quarterback unless something obscene. So, yeah. Did Ray Lewis win the year that he murdered someone?
No.
Or did they give it to Trent Dilfer? They probably gave it to Jamal
Williams.
Yeah.
Jamal Lewis.
Wasn't it Jamal Lewis?
Jamal Lewis. Yeah. Jamal Lewis.
Anyway.
All right. So question, going back to fantasy football here. What is something you can look at the Super Bowl game, watch the whole game, and actually can take away to either to help or hurt your fantasy team going into next year? Well, Shane, let's start with you.
And this is a shout out to our boy FF Intervention here. I'm hoping Kenny Gainwell has another good game, and then I can sell supremely high on him, because then people expect like this is going to be an ongoing role when it's not. When clearly he's a novelty act. But you can't do this for 17 weeks in the regular season, but you could use them like this for a little 3-week stretch. So I think if he could go out there and drop another 70 yards and a touchdown, people are going to extrapolate that to, Miles Sanders is probably leaving him free agency. He's going to take over as the RB1. And then maybe I can even snooker someone like Chase and giving me a late first for him.
Oh, no.
I was going to piggyback onto that because I had basically the same thing, but mine was more to the Miles Sanders side of things. Is if Gainwell does have a big game, I think the Eagles think, we can just put any running back in here. We can let Miles Sanders walk. Don't pay him the big contract. Give Hurts his huge contract because he's due to get paid this summer. Miles Sanders walks. So if you own Sanders now, it's not time to sell, I think, because I don't know where he's going to end up, and will he be the lead back wherever he goes? So I would sell Sanders now if you could.
I think Sanders was sell for me prior to. He didn't get as much workload as I wanted him to, and we know that he can catch the ball out of the backfield. He just didn't have an opportunity to because of Jalen Hurts. So Miles Sanders for me is an actual hold, regardless of what he does in this game. I'm going to be holding on to him up until he ends up with a team that passes to the running back. Like, I don't know, the Patriots are a bad example, but like a team that ends up dumping it off a ton. Or the Raiders would be interesting if they let Josh Jacobs walk and they bring in the guy that was drafted in the same year on a cheaper contract. So with less workload as well. But what? Go ahead.
No, go ahead. I thought you were almost done. Go ahead.
No, but the thing for me is like I don't pay a lot of attention to the Super Bowl because they end up they have 2 weeks to prepare, right? And they end up utilizing players that they don't typically utilize. They use plays they don't typically use. I mean, they get ballsy at times, like with the Philly special or the roll that Kansas City did a couple of years ago. And then people have nerves. And so good players look bad and then bad players look good because a good player who looked bad ended up throwing, a terrible play or whatever the case was. Honestly, I don't even remember most of the Super Bowls by the end of it up until I watch it the next day, because that night I'm not really paying attention. I'm just getting drunk. And even then it's just for fun and we're doing prop bets and stuff like that. So I'll look into it in terms of like going into the game, but coming out of the game, I'm not taking anything with me.
Well, no, and that's why I kind of asked the question, is because I think the super savvy dynasty player is sitting there. They're not paying attention to the game. They could give two shits about the game itself unless they are, personally invested with that's their team. But they're box score hunting it later and looking, like Shane said, Miles Sanders hasn't done much all year long, but over the playoffs, he had 3 games in a row over 60, 65 yards, 4 touchdowns.
The Gabe Davis effect, where you turn right around and now, everybody's on this player. Well, now, Jeff's offering me 2 firsts for him. I'm sorry, Chase. I'm going to have to go for 2 firsts. And Chase turns around and goes, I'll give you 2 firsts. And okay. I think that's where the savvy player comes in. So yeah, my player that I kind of picked that, with all the injuries on the Chiefs side of things is Sky Moore. We all like Sky Moore coming into the season. He didn't do much all season. Like Chase said, they do things differently than they do in the regular season. They've got injuries. Maybe there's some trick play that they got Sky Moore involved in. Maybe he has a special teams play.
That's a great one.
Sky Moore's trick play is going to be fumbling. And we're going to be like, that's the same play you do all the time, dude.
All right, so I got a question for you guys, and this one's actually relevant. If let's say Miles Sanders goes off and has a 2-touchdown game for 100 yards, right? Mm-hmm. Do you actually put that guy on the trade block Or do you just leave him off in hopes for an order? Because if you put him on the trade block, it's like an obvious, like, oh, he had a big game, he's going to sell, and you don't know what kind of offers. You're going to get low ball offers.
You're going to get low ball offers no matter what you do. So either you need to be aggressive and go shop him aggressively, which people are going to go, well, you're doing that because he just had a big game, or put him on your trade block because he just had a big game. There's really no winning strategy there. I mean, your best bet is waiting to see wherever he signs in free agency and getting that little spike when people are like, oh, well, now they're going to use him in the passing attack. And you're like, well, probably not. There's a reason that his targets have dipped every season of his career. So honestly, that's when you're best to do it.
And I looked at some free agent running backs that have changed teams in kind of over the little bit of history. I didn't go back and do some major research, but there's not a lot of running backs that leave their original team on their first contract to go to a different team and actually end up having a really good season or even career from that point. A lot of times, that if the first team gives up on them, then they're pretty much going to be on their downswing of their career.
It's that and outside linebackers. They both have a very similar career trajectory. They don't have what it takes. They were schemed into that system based off of their athletic abilities, and that's what they're left with.
Well, we're going to get to that point where Chase has been dying to get to all night. We're going to talk about some of these quarterbacks. And what would your favorite or perfect landing spot for each of these following quarterbacks in terms of fantasy be in 2023? So Derek Carr just visited with the Saints today. So let's start with Derek Carr. Where would you prefer him to land? Whether it be a trade or they release him and he signs, whatever, just the landing spot for him to have fantasy value this year.
Honestly, I don't know how he doesn't end up in Washington, and I don't think it's being talked about at all. I think it's just because Washington just traded for a quarterback, but they always have. But they actually have a really good weapon set. Their offensive line is brutal, which Derek Carr is used to outside of 1 year of his career. Everything that Derek Carr has, his beliefs, his religion, his family, every concept, every storyline is pointing towards Washington. But Washington is it's just so toxic, overall for him to go there. But I mean, we're talking about a quarterback who's been very boisterous about what he's doing, but he's still always right-minded. Ron Rivera really believes in his stuff. And honestly, going back on it, I really don't think Ron Rivera approved of the Carson Wentz trade. I think that was more of Dan Snyder being like, hey, we need a quarterback in order to make this happen. I don't like the move, but it also keeps Washington from investing their first round pick into a quarterback when they could invest into an offensive line. It's going to be interesting. I like Derek Carr there. Atlanta makes sense too, but Atlanta wants a quarterback that can move and that wants to run and wants to get outside the pocket, similar to a Ryan Tannehill, similar to a Marcus Mariota, similar to a Desmond Ridder. So I don't think Washington's the answer. And then the Saints salary cap, way too brutal to be able to cut something else off and bring him in. Washington just makes too much sense, if not Carolina.
Jeff?
Yeah, so I did this a little bit different. I did perfect landing spots, but I think we could almost pick the same team, over and over again for all these quarterbacks and say it's the perfect spot. So I did it sort of, I took the prize package of Lamar Jackson and I put him on a team, and I kind of eliminated teams as I went down the line. And I ended up with Washington for Derek Carr as well. I actually live here in Washington, D.C., and if Derek Carr comes here, I think the fan base might explode. Their head might explode because they kind of hate that veteran quarterback thing. They want to go get a rookie, but like you mentioned, their offensive line is terrible, but Derek Carr is used to it. But they got some great weapons. They got three receivers that could be, potentially some of the best three receivers deep in the league.
This is the first time. So I've been a Washington fan my whole life, and they've acquired quarterback after quarterback after quarterback. This acquiring Derek Carr is probably most similar to Brad Johnson, but Brad Johnson that's healthy and a better quarterback overall. This is the first time I would ever approve of any of Washington's acquisitions in terms of grabbing a quarterback is Derek Carr.
You got Sam Howell.
I love Sam Howell, but Sam Howell needs to develop.
Yeah.
Sam Howell isn't a good quarterback. He's not an NFL quarterback. Get the fuck out of here with Sam Howell.
I don't think he is either, to be honest. But
I develop into a steady backup.
But we can't take Anthony Richardson.
Why not?
Because he's not ready to play. He needs to be developed too.
Whatever. He sits for 8 weeks and then you send him out there.
Shane, where do you want to see Derek Carr?
Derek Carr in Tampa. And I got to run, so I'm going to do this. Derek Carr in Tampa, Lamar Jackson in Atlanta, Aaron Rodgers in the Jets, not in the Jets, on the Jets. Bryce Young, I don't care. Yeah, CJ Stroud, I want to the Texans because I want him drafted highly. Anthony Richardson, I could give two shits about because I don't believe in him, but I think it would be fun to watch the world burn and Dallas draft him because I hate Dallas. And then the last dude, Will Levis, isn't really any good, so I don't care where he goes, but as high as possible. So when other people draft him high in rookie drafts, I can laugh at them and point at them.
All right, Shane. Well, I know you got to get going, so let everybody know what you got going on, where they can find you.
Hey, Geoff, thanks for coming on, man.
Thanks for having me.
I wish Jay would have kept the show moving at a proper pace so I didn't have to jump off. But, sometimes you let Chase just go off on his soliloquies, however you say that word. I'll look it up and get back.
It wasn't my fault.
All right. At Shane is the worst. You know where I'm at. Dynasty Trades HQ, Dynasty Trades in 5. I love you. May God keep you all warm. Go Eagles. Bye.
My thing took 2 minutes. What the hell?
he left before you can even respond. I love it.
Can you imagine if him and Jacob are going at it over the Anthony Richardson or Will Levis to Indianapolis? So when I put this on here, I was meaning to go by one, but I kind of like the way that Geoff talked about it, whereas you have landing spots and took these players in spot and then just moved on to the next one to figure out which one fits. So, Geoff, do me a favor, do similar to what Shane just did and run your order how you did it, where Lamar went here and then how you ended up with Derek Carr down there with Washington.
All right. So, yeah, Derek Carr in Washington, I just mentioned. Lamar Jackson stays with the Ravens. I just don't see any way they let him walk. They're going to do something. They'll get to that contract eventually. So he stays with the Ravens. Aaron Rodgers goes to the Jets, which you kind of talked about already earlier in the show. Bryce Young, I think, goes to the Texans with Stroud ending up with the Colts. Now, I do think the Panthers might mess that up. They might try to jump up into that first-round pick and mess things up a little bit. But if things don't change in the draft and they stay the way they are, I think it's Bryce Young to the Texans, Stroud to the Colts. I got Richardson going to the Raiders because they love those physical specimens, even if they can't play. They've shown in the past they draft guys like Darius Haywood-Bay that can just run fast, but he couldn't catch with the dam. And then Will Levis to the Bucks is who I got going there.
Ooh, that hurts my feelings. I don't like the Will Levis to the Bucks part, but the only disagreement I'll have with you about the Raiders thing is that was when Al was alive. I don't know that they're chasing that on a regular anymore. Yeah. They may still be, but it just seems like that was an Al Davis thing.
Josh McDaniels wants tacticians, so we'll see how he goes. We've only seen 1 year of him drafting with the Raiders, and he traded a bunch of guys who were the what is it, the blue collar workers, like the dudes that are willing to put the work in, and he wants tacticians, the guys who are technical about their route running, technical about their ability to blitz, technical about how they deliver the ball, and that's Derek Carr is not that. Derek Carr is a work hard type guy with a big arm who wants to have chemistry, and they don't care about chemistry. They just want their system to take place. And in order for their system to work, they have to have system guys. So I'm interested in that. But
yeah, and as you say that makes more sense why Aaron Rodgers does not fit there.
He doesn't at all. It's absolutely absurd that Aaron Rodgers might end up there because they would have to change everything. And Josh McDaniels hates. Like, he does not change for anybody.
No, everybody changes for Josh.
Yeah.
Denver, Indy.
Look at Stidham. Like, he replaced it's just that's how they operate. And, like, they did adjust their scheme slightly for Devonta Adams, but they've always featured one wide receiver in this offense. So it's not like that far of a reach in order to get there. But I got to ask Geoff, man, like, this is my dream scenario. We have a team that's been building forever. And we talked about the Jets, right? Who have been building. They've been drafting great over the past few years, and increasing. But the Lions, I think, have done an even better job of building a foundation that was completely empty. And they looked like an XFL team 10 years ago. Yep. And they've had
4 years ago.
Well, Matt Patricia and stuff, they didn't do a bad job. They just they were not given a lot of tools in order to accelerate their program. Like, the money wasn't there. The leadership wasn't all the way there. Like, what do you expect to happen at that point? But they built one of the best offensive lines in one regime. Then they ended up acquiring a bunch of draft picks in another regime. That offensive line, they continued to build in that regime as well. And then they come in, they don't have a defense, right? But the Lions end up adding draft picks, adding talent at every position. And now they have excess, right? Like they still need to build on the defense. Don't get me wrong. But Lamar Jackson, if you trade a couple first round or a few first round picks and a second round pick, and you take on Lamar Jackson, who they end up putting onto a salary cap or a tag, I mean, like, dude, Lamar Jackson could help both organizations out if the Ravens decide that they should do a slight rebuild because they're falling apart at so many different, levels in terms of defense and offense. I mean, oh my God, Lamar Jackson with the Detroit Lions.
That would be pretty sick. That would be pretty sick.
Is there any way in your mind that this could happen? Or you think that the Ravens will never let go? They will tag him for the next 2 years, and then they'll figure out some sort of contract, or they just want to make sure they don't get burned in the back end, so let them walk after the second tag?
I could see him. I could see him not signing him this year, and Lamar coming out just basically with all the drama that's going on with this.
They'll tag him.
Yeah.
Well, they can tag him, and then he can turn right around, and I would not be surprised if they go, well, I'm not going to play then. That's
for running backs. That doesn't work. It's definitely not going to work for a quarterback. Look at Deshaun Watson. Like, we haven't seen great results from that. Sure, Lamar Jackson could end up seeing an elongated career, but essentially he wants to play football. He doesn't want to be out of football.
Yeah, but
he doesn't want to be in this system.
But he wants to be paid as well.
Yeah,
he wants to be paid for his job. No, I understand that, but I'm saying that the Ravens don't want to pay him.
The Ravens are about $100 million difference. At least that's what the reports are. They always say that, and then all of a sudden they say, "Oh, we just signed them." They find a way to do it.
Well, not the Ravens though. The Ravens are the team that lets everybody walk.
This is true. This is true. Now, Lamar Jackson in a sign and trade is definitely feasible. I don't see Lamar Jackson getting out of there as a free agent. I don't know of any time that I can remember where a quarterback of his caliber went to free agency. Sign and trade, though, would be pretty sweet. If you went to Detroit, wheels up for fantasy purposes for sure. And I think I'll listen to radio today, and I think if they do what's called an exclusive franchise tag, that the minimum a team can trade for is 2 first-round picks. So that's the minimum that they have to go for. So if they were to do that, Lions have the draft capital to do it. They drafted Hutchinson last year. It's definitely a possibility. I can definitely see a scenario where that happens.
I think that's the sexiest landing spot. So I actually have Lamar Jackson going to Detroit for fun purposes.
I've basically thought about this in the exact same scenario, but Lamar going to Houston.
With D'Amico Ryans there, that would be
no, he wouldn't go to Houston.
I mean, Houston goes and trades. What is it? Their second. What is it? Second and 13 overall, I think it is. And
they would have to add more than that, though. I mean, like Lions are. We're talking about.
Would you though? Because then, would you though? Because then you're turning right around. Well, okay, there's a possibility of that. I get what you're saying there, but I'm saying,
I think Houston has so much more needs though. If they were to do that,
I agree. I just thinking of absolute landing spots and what could go from there.
Yeah, if we're just talking dream scenarios, I don't know if Texas necessarily would be a dream scenario for any quarterback, really. I mean, when do they have a great quarterback other than Deshaun Watson? But I think, the Texans just need so much. And with D'Amico Ryans being a defensive guy, he's going to try to get that defense to do their thing. And he comes from a team, the 49ers, that built through the draft. So I think he will keep his picks, let everybody else pay for the high price free agents. We'll get the guys, once everything is kind of settled down, they'll pick up guys that are just blue collar, lunch pail guys, go to work kind of guys, and just kind of build through the draft that way. That's kind of how I see the Texans going from this point on.
All right. So Shane's got Lamar Jackson to Detroit and Derek Carr. I'm sorry, I said Shane. Chase has got Lamar Jackson to Detroit and Carr to the Commanders. And you said Aaron Rodgers is going to the Jets.
Yeah, it would put a whole different quirk in this if he retires out of nowhere.
Right.
Like if he hits up Tom Brady and he's like, was it worth it? And Tom Brady says no.
Let's do what is it worth it?
Yeah, one thing on Rodgers real quick is I think I was having internet problems when y'all were talking about Rodgers, and I just wanted to just kind of
please.
There. Like how is it like Rodgers in his typical way of making everything about him before the Super Bowl says he's going into this 4-day hiatus, right through the Super Bowl that get everybody talking about Aaron Rodgers once again. And then, the first story after Super Bowl is going to be, what's he doing? Is he retiring? Is he coming back? It's always about Rodgers finding a way to do that. And I just think it's funny that he came out. I mean, he could have just done it and not said anything about it, but he wanted to come out.
Money, man. It's money.
Exactly. So, I mean, making the offseason.
Geoff, I think we're about the same age. And I think about, 15 years ago or so, there was this guy in Green Bay that kind of did the exact same damn thing.
Yeah.
He learned from the dude.
100%. Yep.
So we can, in about 15 years from now, you can expect Jordan Love to be doing the same thing.
Well, not Jordan. I don't know if it's Jordan Love. I don't think Jordan Love.
All right. So
I have Aaron Rodgers going to the Jets, if anywhere.
All right. Tell me about these 4 rookies.
So I have Bryce Young going to the Colts, CJ Stroud going to the Texans.
So you have CJ Stroud as your QB1 coming in this class.
I do have CJ Stroud being the QB1 in this class. And
I do too. That's why I asked. We are on an island by ourselves over here, Chase.
No. CJ Stroud's pretty much viewed as the overall number 1 quarterback, but
for the NFL, I think Bryce Young is the fantasy.
Yeah.
Okay.
For the NFL, he's viewed as the number 1, but I think that the Colts move up and he fits in the system of the Colts. Bryce Young fits in the system of the Colts better than CJ Stroud, although CJ Stroud's physical abilities fits in better with the Colts. We don't know what the Colts are going to be. We don't know what the Colts are going to do. Overall, the talent line is more fun with Bryce Young, so I think the Colts end up going Bryce Young. They have a better offensive line. Hopefully, they're healthy this year. So
I like Bryce Young to the Texans for one reason, and that's because they got Mechie. I think they're going to reconnect that if he comes back healthy next year. That'd be reconnect with his teammates. So that's kind of why I went with Bryce Young. But you can flip those 2 either way.
Yeah, no, yeah. It's literally like we don't know what's going to happen. We'll find out some more information. This is literally just a crapshoot at this point.
Yeah.
Will Levis is going to be a 3rd quarterback off the board. The teams that he can end up with are endless. Like Atlanta could end up taking a quarterback. Panthers can end up taking a quarterback. What I hope happens is that he ends up with the Panthers and they can build from scratch, but I doubt that happens. Anthony Richardson, I think that the most likely place that he lands is with Washington, but that's also the shittiest place that he can land is with Washington because they need a quarterback now. They don't have a quarterback. Taylor Heinicke ends up winning a couple games, if that. I mean, I feel like the magic's out of that situation. Sam Howell looks like shit. Anthony Richardson, who's a better version of both, but they both have the same skill set, ends up taking over. They try to utilize him, and Ron Rivera ends up getting fired after this year. And the quarterback, the coach that comes in, doesn't like rushing quarterbacks and wants to like this. The worst.
You're predicting a mess in Washington. So basically, like the last 20 years.
Yeah, it's the same fucking thing. Like people ask why I renounced my fandom to Washington. Why I'm not like I have the Hogs over my shoulder. I don't know if you see that the Hogs right here over my shoulder. I was a big Washington fan. I've grown up in Washington. I've spent 34 years with Washington, but 32 years. About 2 years ago, I renounced my fandom because, like, when you're in love with somebody, like, when you're a fan of a team, that means you support their decisions, right? You support what they're doing. Like, if you're like hanging out with a girl, you're married to a chick that's cheating on you every night and you don't support what she's doing, why would you be with her? So it sucks. Like it's a situation that you don't want to be with that person, but you're with that person. So like I've renounced my fandom, and if it goes back to normal and everything's good, then hey, guess what? I'll let Washington back in. I'll let her back in the door. We can snuggle at night. But honestly, like it's gotten to such a shitty situation that Anthony Richardson, for his sake, I hope that's the last place that he lands. Where I want to see him land is actually probably with like Denver or somewhere like that, where he has like 3 to 4 years to develop. He's with the good head coach, Taysom Hill in the red zone, fuck over Russell Wilson. Like I'm hoping that he ends up in a situation where it's beneficial to his career, but I don't think that he's a quarterback that I would consider for fantasy at any spot.
Yeah, I think landing spot is going to determine what his fantasy value is going to be. As a Gator fan, I mean, I loved this kid.
Wait, you're a Gator fan?
Yeah, it's just a little one, but I love this kid. I wish he would have stayed another year. I think he could have used one more year developing in college. But I think his perfect landing spot, to be quite honest, is like the New York Giants. Something there with Ryan Daboll, where hopefully they'll go ahead and re-sign Daniel Jones. He can know he's going to sit for a year, but learn under Daboll. I truly think that's the perfect fit for a player like him.
Hendon Hooker's actually Hendon Hooker. I'm sorry, not Hendon.
Yeah, Hendon Hooker that's the dude I want in Tampa.
I mean, is he going to be coming out the draft at the same age of Brandon Whedon? Like,
who cares?
Is it gonna be that?
Listen. Somebody posted that tweet earlier.
He could go to Washington. That's who I see in Washington.
Listen, somebody posted that tweet earlier. 25-year-old quarterback. Tom Brady is 45. That means he's still got a 20-year career. Bring him on.
Stop.
I mean, I'm just saying.
But
we're so wrapped up as an industry about age at positions that.
Yeah, quarterback age isn't as important.
Age isn't as important.
Now, Tom Brady is an outlier. I mean, how many
I get that. But I mean, you even got the Aaron Rodgers is 40.
It's a breakout age that actually matters. Like, good quarterbacks go to the NFL at an earlier age.
Well, yeah,
it's pretty rare that we see a good quarterback come to the NFL.
I just meant as far as dynasty and them aging.
Right.
Out. Oh, he's already old. At 25, they're not old. They're
yes. In dynasty, aspect, 100%.
Jamie says, how about Lamar to the Falcons? Would he fit this scheme well? Plus, has Pitts and Pitts replacing Andrews?
That would be terrible for everybody involved.
Except for Atlanta. Atlanta would be so excited. It'd be all the Michael Vick comparisons, and that city would be ecstatic. But
yes.
As far as fantasy points and as far as the NFL, I don't think it works.
Yeah, I mean, I couldn't agree more. I don't want to see Lamar in the NFC South. I don't need to see that. That's keep him in the AFC or put him on Tampa. That's all I want to do. All right, fellas, we've hit that magic hour. We're gonna get out of here. So, Geoff, let everybody know where they can find you. What's going on over there at Going for Two? I could probably tell them just as much as you could. But go ahead, tell everybody what's going on at Going for Two.
All right, yeah, thanks for having me on, guys. Really appreciate it. This is a lot of fun. But you can follow me on Twitter at Geoff Lambert 77. Goingfor2.com is all of our written content coming out. Going for Two live on YouTube. We got shows every single night. Gator actually hosts the Gambit on Thursday night tomorrow, so you can go check him out on Thursdays. But we got a bunch of shows planned for the off season too. Some new shows coming up that some of them aren't even fantasy football related. We're kind of venturing out into some new stuff. Some new shows coming out.
Yeah.
So check it out.
Yeah, I can't wait. Gladys, we are going to do every other Thursday starting next week. So we're going to go tomorrow, and then Gladys has got a new show coming on, which I can't wait to see that on Thursday night. So, yeah.
See, me and her kind of brainstormed a little bit, and we are like trying to come up with something for her. She wanted something else that wasn't fancy related, and she's like, "How about sports related, a little bit of pop culture?" And she's a bartender, so she's like, "I'm gonna mix bartending into there and have bartending stuff." And I was like, "All right, let's do it."
Oh,
it's fun. It's great.
So we're getting drunk on Thursdays, is what you're saying?
Exactly.
Okay, awesome. Chase,
let
them know what you got going. We do that too. It makes my Wednesday longer or my Thursday start earlier.
I love that, man. Now we got all sorts of fun stuff going on over there at TrophySmack.com. Make sure you guys go check that out. Use promo Vice 10 and off. Of course, that benefits Fantasy Intervention. Make sure you guys go hit subscribe, hit like. Make sure you guys listen to the full show. And I think Gator's actually getting a little bit better at editing as of late. So make sure y'all go check out his brand new shorts that should be coming out here soon. We're still working on it. We're still working together. We're still trying to figure it out, but we will be doing shorts here broken up. And then, of course, go check out all of the content. Once again, that's youtube.com/fantasy intervention. Fantasy intervention.
Yeah, we are definitely going to be putting out some shorts. I'm going to get to this off season where we are actually doing at least one short a day. So we have something coming out every single day. So hopefully that'll keep y'all entertained for that 1 minute a day and go, yep, Fantasy Intervention is our dudes. So when you can find me over on the Twitter sphere at FantasyJ77 for Shane, for Chase. For Geoff, thank you, Geoff, for joining us tonight. Thank you for letting us intervene with your fantasy life. We out.